District, where we have team coverage on this weekend's violent cases. About that tragic shooting out of Southeast D.C. A 6-year-old girl has died and 5 others were injured in the shooting last night. Police say that
Shorty Pop,
Born in 1972, Shelton Watkins was raised in the southeast quadrant of Washington, D.C. Shorty Pop was a young man who could dress, dance, and loved music. As a youth, his passion for music would land him on the original frontline for the legendary go-go group called the Junkyard Band. The group was founded in 1980, composed of different kids from Berry farm dwellings in Southeast. The name of the band reflected their resourcefulness with random garbage items and objects to make music since they couldn't afford real instruments. They'd make use of discarded trash cans, milk crates, cans, plastic buckets, etc. Junkyard influenced many young kids in DC to believe in themselves as aspiring musicians, employing the same ingenuity to replace their lack of actual musical instruments and start their own go-go bands all over the metropolitan area. In 1983, the Junkyard Band made an appearance in the movie DC Cab, and within the next 2 to 3 years they would sign a record deal with Def Jam Records in New York City. In September 1987, the original drummer 16-year-old Derek Ingram was found by police lying dead behind a recreation center in the 3000 block of G Street Southeast. He had been murdered execution style, his hands had been handcuffed behind his back, and he had been shot twice in the head.
16-year-old Derek Ingram was killed execution style, handcuffed behind the back and shot twice in the head. These are the streets that 16-year-old Derek Ingram grew up on and died on. He is remembered as the kid who loved music, the kid who loved playing drums for the Junkyard Band, a popular Washington, D.C. go-go group of inner-city kids who made their junk funk music on empty paint buckets, tin cans, toy instruments, and anything else they could find. Police don't know who murdered Derek Ingram, but they do believe it was a drug deal gone bad.
While signed to Def Jam, Junkyard put out an EP with hit singles The Word and Sardines. In 1988, the band made another film appearance 5 years later in Tougher Than Leather, starring the hip-hop group Run DMC. It was rumored that Pop had a rough childhood, suffering from abuse in the home, and he moved around living with friends, barely going to school and running the streets robbing. This would be a problem for the Junkyard Band because they had strict rules such as school grades. By the height of Shorty Pop's music career, he was known in the streets as a troublemaker and was being sought after by police for a homicide in 1987.
He went to Kramer where my grandmother was working at. You know what I'm saying? So my grandmother would make sure he okay, you know, feed him and stuff like that, ask him do he need anything. But, you know, he was starting that motor at that time. You know what I'm saying?
In front of Anacostia, that's where everything was happening. That's where all the hustlers used to be outside, in front of their cars and stuff. Dirt bikes going up and down 16th Street. But Little Pop, every Friday, he would have a group of dudes, right? As you walking up 16th Street, and he'd be in the street with his friends, and he'd be the one talking the most trash. If you look at him, you're gonna start talking trash, and what he's doing, he's looking to point people out so they could jump them, him and his little crew. And most of these kids was in junior high school, and he's in the 9th grade, so most of them he knew when he went to Kramer. Kramer's right around the corner from Anacostia. So every Friday, Lil Pop and his little crew would come around, and they would find people to jump. He would look for the weak or the vulnerable or the one. If he catch you looking at him, he'll start, what you looking at? He'll call you out your name, say little stuff so you can get back, trying to agitate stuff, right? Instigate fights or whatever.
Junior high, I ain't see him in a minute, and then, you know, I would hear about him, you know, and then, you know, like he would get shit from niggas or rob them or whatever, but he would always come back in our neighborhood, but we would never know, like me and my brother.
In 1988, police were seeking information in regards to the murder of Tony Kenyon, 29, who was shot in the chest in the 3300 block of 14th Place Southeast on October 31st, Halloween night. Pop would be later arrested for questioning, and later that year in Prince George's County, Andre Smith would be murdered at the Crystal Skate Rink on Branch Avenue in December 1988.
Like my little man Pop, I was introduced to him by some other cats, and he was a young, wild 15-year-old kid coming out Southeast that was killing anything moving. And he just wanted to be up under somebody that was going to look out for him. So I wound up taking him up under my wing and looking out for him, and through him I wound up meeting another cat named Wayne Perry. Now this kid here, I mean, he had the town on lock, and I mean, he had the town locked on fear and was putting his murder game down. You hear me? Anyone who mentioned his name knew, when they mentioned his name, they mentioned murder in the same sentence, because he was about his work, and didn't have no problem with talking about it in front of everybody, and didn't care, and if you tried to go testify or tell on him, he was getting you. So the young kid Pop wound up coming to me saying, yo, my man is in jail, this and that. So his bail was like something, I think I had to pay like 10%, which was like $10,000. I wound up giving up the whole $10,000 because I seen the bigger picture. Right. I said, if I get this kid out and the reputation that he has, then all that'll come on my side. Right. So I wound up giving up the whole 10, and it was a 10 well worth it. So I wound up getting him out. I didn't really step to him as soon as I got him out. I just let it be known through my little man. We wound up
15-year-old man know him?
Because my little man had an uncle that knew him.
Okay.
So my little man had the reputation of being wild and about his business. So his uncle was wild too, my little man's uncle. And him and the kid Wayne knew each other.
Okay.
So, and then Wayne, that's how he met him, and Wayne knew what my little man was about. So, you know, killers respect killers and all that type of thing.
In 1989, Pop shot Levin Hill on May 30th in the district and was later charged. On December 6th that same year, Matthew Blake, a businessman and a drug kingpin, who was killed during a shootout in the 3300 block of Camden Street Southeast, a hit ordered by Alpo due to his envy for Blake because he refused to deal with Alpo.
I was there. We had him murdered. I went to pick up some drugs in New York, and when I came back, I met up with Pop, and he told me that he had just killed Blake.
Man, I was fucked up when he killed Blake, man. Him got into it real bad about that. Blake was a nigga that had a store, his little store in Suitland. You know, so we used to go up there, you know, before we go to the Go-Go, and, you know, and buy his clothes, because his shit was legit back then. Now, his store ended up going down to the Avenue. You know what I'm saying? But Blake had a store over there in Suitland, and Blake, you know, we ended up meeting Blake. We ended up grabbing a good relationship, and Blake was telling me, you know what I'm saying, he was about to get out the game, he gonna do this clothing thing. I go back up that motherfucker, man, to meet him. The store is locked. So I see somebody in there, I say, Slim, what Blake at, Slim? You know, he was giving a discount on his clothes. His clothes was legit, Slim. I'm talking about good clothes, good whatever. They come out and tell me he dead, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm fucked up. Me and my man, we in the car, we fucked up about it, man. So, go back around the way, and like a month later, I hear who the fuck did it. You know what I'm saying? So I see his ass at the motherfucking Crystal Skate. I said, man, let me holler at you, man. But I was mad about that shit. I was like, Slim, let me holler at you, Slim. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what was up with that, Slim? Man, me and him ended up talking for like 4 hours about that shit. It was some shit Poe, you know what I'm saying, did. That shit was on Poe. Poe got mad because Shorty wouldn't fuck with Poe. You know, he ain't do no business with Slim. He was getting them things at a good number. Slim wanted to holler at him. He ain't fuck with Slim. Slim put Slim Shorty on him. And I was mad about that. We almost got into a fight about that shit.
On Tuesday, July 16, 1989, in the Shaw neighborhood, Demensio Benson, 27, of Brooklyn, New York, was found shot to death about 6:30 p.m. in the 1400 block of 7th Street Northwest.
Demensio was a situation where he really disrespected himself, and he disrespected other people, and that's why that happened to him. Okay. Yeah, he thought he was tougher than what he really was. But I ain't play with them Brooklyn dudes.
You ain't play with them?
Nah. I ain't. They were cool. I had some cool ones that came up out of Brooklyn, but I just always remembered as a kid how Brooklyn used to like to rob you and all that.
Right. Who hit him?
My man that was down with
Wayne Perry?
Not Wayne, but the kids that was up on the Wayne. Wayne too many people knew him as far as right there, so we got one of his little soldiers to hit him. But I was shaking his hand. I told him, I said, when you see me shaking his hand, I nod my head. You hit him right. You hit him right.
You never feared that one of the bullets would slip off and maybe hit you?
No, I didn't care about that. I was shaking his hand. It was enough because they walked right up on him. I mean, it wasn't no like from a distance. As I was shaking his hand, they walked right on him and put the gun right to his forehead and blasted him.
That was in the daytime?
Yeah, daytime. Broad day. After.
Shorty Pop was blamed for the murder of Demensio Benson, but some say he wasn't even at the Kennedy playground at the time of his murder and that one of Wayne Perry's soldiers actually killed Demensio.
When Demensio got killed, I was locked up. And I had heard bits and pieces of what happened. I didn't know that the hit came from Pope, if it came from Pope. You know what I mean? I just heard that Wayne. I just kept hearing Wayne's name. So in that interview that you spoke about with the FBI detective Dan O'Reilly, when he spoke about when I went to go see Wayne when he was up in Marlboro, when I went up there and asked him about that situation with Demensio. And he threw some names out there. You know what I mean? What the detective said in the interview that me and Wayne discussed on the visit, that was false. That conversation never happened. You know what I mean? But we talked about D. And he threw some names out there about D, what happened to D. And you know what I mean, I did my own investigation. You know what I mean, to see what I could find. And yeah. What I got was, man, that Wayne did it. You know what I mean? I heard later that Wayne did it because Poe wanted him out the way because Demensio was getting too big for his britches in the cities, you know, as he put it. But so when I went to go see Wayne, Wayne denied it. You know what I mean? He told me, man, it was somewhere else. You know what I mean? And the little dude that he told me that actually did it for Poe. It wasn't him, like it wasn't me. You know what I mean? It wasn't me, it was this other person. He did it because of Poe wanted him out the way. So like I say, man, I end up doing my own investigation and I end up, you know what I mean, going in for that little dude's murder. So they questioned me about that later.
December 29, 1989, Montgomery County Police, with the help of D.C. Police and the FBI, arrested Shelton Cortez Walker, a man identified by D.C. Police Chief Isaac Fullwood as the city's most wanted fugitive. Walker, 17, who also goes by the last name of Watkins, was arrested about 4 p.m. on Interstate 270, at Route 124, in the Gaithersburg area. Walker is wanted on murder charges in connection with two slayings in the district, the 1987 slaying of Tony Kenyon and the December 6, 1989 slaying of Matthew Blake. Walker was charged in October with assault with intent to kill Levin Hill on May 30, 1989. Walker has also been charged with murder and rape in Prince George's County in connection with the December 1988 slaying of Andre Smith at the Crystal Skate.
I go to jail and I go in this block called A6. And he in the block, I didn't know it, but I hear somebody screaming my name at the bullpen. And so the youngin' that was doing detail, he was like, man, hey man, that's Pop calling you. I was like, what Pop, Shelton Watkins? He was like, yeah.
You know what, at that time, I didn't even know what he would become. I didn't know that because Shorty was like to have fun, good guy, laugh, smile. I didn't see that image of him. I didn't see that. I never seen that until when I went away in 87. When I went away, and that's when I heard rumors when I was on the other side, that Shorty was vicious. He was doing this, he was robbing people, he was taking people's chains and stuff like that at the go-go. So I knew one guy specifically, I ain't gonna say his name, but I found out he took his chain. And I'm all the way in Lawton, and I'm like, I got word to him. I said, man, come on, Shorty. You can't do that, man. You gotta get that through his joint back. Now, he had so much respect for us that he actually listened and gave Slim his chain back. And I'm from the other side. I'm way away. I'm locked up. So he had so much respect for us. And then I was hearing stories about him. Guys, you know, when you in the penitentiary, a lot of news come to you faster than on the street. You know what I'm saying? So when I start hearing things, damn, Shorty was going hard. I didn't know that. And it's funny because when he wrote me, like I said before on the earlier thing, when he wrote me before in 1990, 91, when I was in Texas, he wrote me and to find out that, guys jumped him, like I said before. And when he got out, like I say, he said something about Ice Cube. He mentioned Natural Born Killers in the song. Came out, and one of the guys that jumped him, he ended up smashing one of them guys' sisters. So yeah, that's when I knew he was vicious.
Shorty Pop spent some time in Upper Marlboro jail fighting charges. And I'm sure certain street guys were happy he was down due to all of the robbing, extortion moves, and murders he committed. After a year or so, Pop was released back into the streets. Shortly after his release from jail, Shorty Pop would head back to his old street ways, and in 1992 Pop was gunned down after leaving a go-go at the Classics nightclub in Suitland, Maryland.
I came home and came around the way looking for some clothes, to go see Essence that night at the motherfucking junk, at the Classics. And he was like, he pulled up, you know what I'm saying, got out of the car. I never forget. He was like, "Hey, where your brother at?" He was like, "Motherfucker, get in the car." So everybody looking at me like, he gonna kill you. So me and him laughing while we going to the car. So the people that's outside looking at me, "Don't get in that car." So I busted out laughing. He laughing too, right? So, we down there talking for a while. I was like, "You home?" This, that, and the other. He was like, "Man, where your motherfucking brother at, man? I need his motherfucking clothes for tonight. I'm going to see Essence tonight." Bro wasn't around the neighborhood. He was doing this other thing. So Pop was like, "All right, motherfucker, I'll be back later on." So they was going to the Go-Go that night, and his ass ended up going down Fresh Gear. See, that was what's the name's clothing. That was his store before it went down the Avenue. Blake store in Suitland. It was called Fresh Gear. When I seen Pop that day, he had a big ass 357 Chrome on him, right? He had them two youngins with him. He ain't had no clothes at no time that time. So this motherfucker, don't forget he had killed Blake. So Fresh Gear is Blake and is Blake. So this nigga go down there and take shit out of Fresh Gear with the, basically robbed the gym. Yeah, the night he got killed, that day, the day he went down to the Classics, he roughed Fresh Gear off. He went in Fresh Gear, put the gun, had the gun on him, and had his niggas, and they picked whatever out. Went to the Classics, they pulled up, he was in there. I never forget my man Jeff called me, he was like, "Man, Pop up here." Because Jeff went to holler at him, because he hollered at Jeff because he knew Jeff as a child. But he said the whole time Pop was there, Pop kept looking back, watching, looking back. No soon as they leave, Pop walking, going to the car, talking to some girls or whatever. Man, they say this nigga popped out of nowhere, man. Behind one of them motherfucking cars, had his hat down, and had a motherfucking AK, man, and took Shorty whole brains out. Stood over top of him with that joint. It wasn't no face or none of that. He took Shorty head off. I got that call about 4 or 5 calls. Everybody was at the Classics. My man Jeff was standing over top of him.
That same year, on September 29th, his former Junkyard Band member, the drummer Heavy One, was shot and killed unintended in his Berry Farms neighborhood.
Everyone was getting money too. Everyone was getting bricks, 2, 3 bricks. They Yeah, he had to bring the Junkyard Band. These guys love music, man.
You said you said it yourself. Living here in Bury Farms, that's all we heard. That's all we listened to. I mean, all the best came down here and played regularly. Something like once a week.
Like where?
As long as it was nice, they came down here.